This has been one of the most tragic incidents that have been reviewed in some time. Austin Metcalf, 17 years old, was stabbed in the heart at a track meet in Frisco, Texas. After being told he was in the wrong spot, another student got mad and pulled a knife on Austin. His brother witnessed the stabbing and tried to help. They were twins, identical twins, and his brother was holding on to him, trying to make it stop bleeding, and he died in his brother's arms, his dad said. Okay, this is tragic enough, but what I want to analyze here is that everybody's talking about the father's reaction even the same day and not even 24 hours later. This is the reaction 24 hours later, and let's watch the video, and then we will ask the questions later.
It's very unfortunate that this other child decided to make a bad choice that's going to affect him for the rest of his life. I have compassion for every human being. This is not, I want to make this very clear. This is not a race issue. This is not a black and white issue. I don't want someone stepping up on a soapbox trying to politicize this. I don't appreciate some of the remarks I've seen online that people say there was this fight and they don't know, they weren't there.
Yeah, but the problem is, okay, I'm gonna judge right away. You saw his body language. He seems rather convinced of what he's doing. I mean, I have to repeat, have to make it clear. This is 24 hours after his son was stabbed to death, and what he said, well, what he essentially saying is that he has compassion. He doesn't want this to be politicized. He doesn't want this to be about race. Man, your 17-year-old son, who was almost perfect score, MVP, was a model student, was murdered. And this is your reaction? I don't know. I haven't studied human behavior in so many instances, so many reactions. You can tell me maybe he's a true Christian. Maybe we could address that. I don't know. But we're going to see his reaction the same day of the incident. This is literally the same day of the incident, hours after it happened.
The sad part about it is he died in his brother's arms. They were twins, identical twins. And his brother was holding on to him, trying to make it stop bleeding. And he died in his brother's arms. And I rushed up there, and I saw him on the gurney. And I could tell. They said he wasn't breathing. I could see all the blood. I saw where the wound was.
You saw that there was that moment in which his voice was breaking. There was actual emotion in there. There's much more signs of grief in his brow expression. You see that there's a lot more emotion in there, compared to what we saw 24 hours later. But he was not finished in that first interview.
I'm not trying to judge, but what kind of parents did this child have? What was he taught? He brought a knife to a track meet, and he murdered my son by stabbing him in the heart.
But at least he said the things like they were. Again, this was hours after the incident, which are the same way. It's like, I don't know how somebody can give an interview in these circumstances. I mean, I don't know how can anybody in these circumstances have any sort of willingness to give an interview, to talk to a microphone, to talk to a journalist. I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to give any sort of words. Why? It's just, I want to grieve my son that died just hours ago.
The guy was in the wrong place. They asked him to move, and he bowed up. This is murder. I don't know. I know they have someone in custody.
Yeah, we do.
And you know what? I already forgive this person.
Again, this is mere hours. You know what? I already forgive this person. without knowing who the guy was, without knowing anything about that, about him, without knowing nothing. I already no, just excuse me, but you can be as let's talk about being Christian. Let's assume that this guy is Christian. No, don't get me started with that, because that is pure religious gaslighting. You cannot be like that. No, that is not the way. I know that I shouldn't be messing with religion in here, but that is my opinion. Okay, this is kind of my channel, and I kind of have my opinion, and I think that would be religious gaslighting. That's not how it works. Oh yeah, one of my sons was murdered. Let me put the other chick. No, that is BS. Don't get me wrong with that, because it's not. Don't get me started with that, because we're gonna have a very bad time with this.
And you know what? I already forgive this person. Already. God takes care of things. God's going to take care of me. God's going to take care of my family.
No, I think that you should take care of your family, because it is more than obvious that you should be a bit more careful. And, well, in general, people should be more careful given the circumstances. Now that you have just seen his reactions just mere hours after his son was stabbed. Now watch his reaction again the day after, before we watch his wife's and the brother's opinion, which are quite different from him.
It's very unfortunate that this other child decided to make a bad choice that's going to affect him for the rest of his life. I have compassion for every human being. This is not, I want to make this very clear, this is not a race issue. This is not a black and white issue. I don't want someone stepping up on a soapbox trying to politicize this. I don't appreciate some of the remarks I've seen online that people say there was this fight and they don't know, they weren't there.
This reminds me of that other case in which the father was saying, I wish that I think it was son or daughter, I don't remember. I wish that they were killed by a white guy, it was insane to hear that. I covered that on this channel as well. But as I was telling you, the Austin's mother and brother do not share the same thought. Austin Metcalf's mother and twin brother do not agree with this approach.
I heard your husband say within hours of this that he forgave this other young man, and he got there so quickly. And I honestly don't know that I could. And I just want to see. And I don't know if there's a right or a wrong place to be, especially as quickly as this has happened. Megan, how do you feel on that front today?
I am not like their dad. I am so angry at that boy. It's just not fair. That's all I have.
I understand.
I'd like to say it's forgave, not forgotten, but I'm not at that point yet to forgive that kid for what he did to my brother. Because, 17 years, my best friend just there and in the blink of an eye, I lost him. So I'm not at that point.
Oh, so people are saying that this is what this guy is going through. The father, what he's going through is some kind of blackmail. There's theories about this. I'm gonna read some of them. Grok, I've searched for posts on X that claim that the U.S. Department of Justice, this is what some are claiming, has a department or program specifically tasked with pressuring or forcing white victims of black violence or their families to downplay or suppress racial aspects of such incidents. Several posts on X make this assertion of often pointing to the Department of Justice Community Relations Service, CRS, as the entity involved. Here's a summary of the sentiment and claims found. Multiple posts on X allege that the CRS, a division of the Department of Justice, intervened after incidents of interracial violence, specifically when white individuals are victims of crimes committed by black individuals, to influence victims' families. This post suggests the CRS uses tactics like coercion, persuasion, or even threats to prevent families from framing the incidents as racially motivated. For example, some users claims the CRS convinces, bribes, or coerces families to issue statements calling for peace or unity rather than highlighting racial tensions. I think that one thing is saying that crimes could be race motivated. One thing is being race motivated. I have to look for a tweet from Matt Walsh that I forgot to add. And the other thing, very different thing, is saying that, okay, we need to address something that is happening in, how to say this, in terms of statistics, because you know the per capita issue. If you know what the per capita issue is, I'm going to just add this Matt Walsh tweet in here so we can read it. And by this moment, it already has almost 13 million views. Okay, and this is the tweet. If I told you that a young man stabbed another young man to death for telling him that he was in the wrong seat, and then I told you that one young man in this altercation was white and the other black, and then I asked you to guess the race of the assailant, every single person would know the answer immediately. Young black males are violent to a wildly, outrageously disproportionate degree. That's just a fact. We all know it. It is time that we speak honestly about it, or nothing will ever change. Again, it's Matt Walsh is saying the word, this important word here is disproportionate, in the sense that I could bring the statistics and, for example, there's this Zeke Arkham I also follow that has, he's black and he's got a very sensible approach to this, which I found that it was on point as well. He said, as much as I hate it, Matt is right. I'd been in plenty of fights growing up, not because I wanted to fight, but because I had to. It was just the nature of where I grew up. I live on Long Island now, where a lot of my neighbors who grew up here have never been in a fight. Thankfully, I had a mom who worked overtime to keep me away from the bad life. It's past time for a conversation. Action has to be taken now. So there's an issue. There's an issue in the United States. And this issue, of course, has a lot of complexity. I don't want to say that this issue is exclusive to the United States. But the problem is, in what kind of universe is there any justification for this to happen? And not only for this to happen, but we also have to address that how come the father of the victim basically comes forward literally defending the attacker? That is not normal behavior. That is not normal behavior. And again, if you can rush to the comments right now and tell me, oh, Jesus, so you're not a real Christian. This is what a real Christian would do. No. That is religious gaslighting. I don't roll with that. I don't roll with that. And I mean, maybe you can, maybe you don't like my stance, but no, that is not. So you might be asking me, so what do you suggest, Jesus? You suggest, well, first thing that I suggest is that don't go giving interviews to be, if you've been forced by the CRS or whatever it's called, what is the name? The CRS from the Department of Justice. Well, I don't know what to tell you. But if my son was killed by anybody and somebody forced me to, oh, you have to talk on behalf of the killer, I would tell you literally to go fuck yourself. I would not do that. That this is something that I simply won't do, much less hours or one day after the event. So maybe I'm getting too riled up in here, and maybe I'm getting too emotionally invested in here, but I don't think this is a normal human being thing. And I don't think this is an honorable thing to do. I think this is disgraceful for the memory of this dude's son, because he cannot even be called a man. It is dishonorable, disgraceful, and the least that he could do is to shut up. That is easy. Just shut up. You don't go in front of the cameras to say, "Oh, are you ready for a gift?" What do you want? You want a trophy? You want some kind of award? How do you think your family will feel about you after what happened? You're just a cook. This is something, all that you are. This is disgraceful, and regardless, this is the most important thing. It's like, I thought for a minute, okay, this guy has been blackmailed in some way, but I see his body language, and man, he looks really convinced of this. He's got his head forward. He has a lot of gesturing. His jaw is tense while he's defending the murderer. What kind? My question is, what kind of sickness is this? Again, I can't believe that this is actually happening because of that other case. Oh, I wish my daughter or my son, I don't remember if it was a daughter or son, had been killed by a white guy. So people don't make this about race. That was outrageous to say. And again, this is the kind of thing that I would like to tell you, that there's a nice conclusion to this, but no, there's not a nice conclusion to this. Yeah, there's a conversation that should take place in the United States, and again, well, that conversation can start in the comments. So I would like to know what you think about this in the comments. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the bottom language guy. Much love and bliss.